Alright, welcome. This is going to be a short video, hopefully, about my Trickster build. I'm going to start off with a shout out to someone whose build I did reference while creating this, Nick2, T-E-W. Please check out his YouTubes uh, for his Trickster build if you're wanting some more interest there. Now I'm just going to show off all my class points real quick here. It's a pretty basic, normal setup for most Tricksters who are weapon-based. This is a weapon-based Trickster. There's my skills. Real simple. Got, Hunt the Prey, Twisted Rounds, and Time Rift for the AoEs. Let me just go through my weapons and real quick here. Fortress, Dark Sacrifice, Dust Shield, Concentration Blast, which is good, and Fortress again, and then Pinball and Embers, or Rage. Then got Stare into the Barrel, which I do like, even though he didn't like that one. Captain Hunter, then Sharp Eye, Personal Space, then Instant Reload, Bloodlust, Long Range, and Pain Transfer right here. That's my AoE stuff. And then I've got my Buckshot Shells and Ammo Bar. Now, I do find that this does a lot of damage, and I love this character because the more damage I do, the faster I'm getting my heals, the more tanky I be. I actually do not need something like damage mitigation. This does mean I'm a bit of a glass cannon at times, but as long as I'm killing stuff, you can actually be just as tanky as a Devastator. I'm going to do a quick solo run here. Or actually, no, I think I'm carrying people with this one. I forget if there's people with me or not. Oh yeah, there's people with me. That's right. We're gonna do so I'm gonna do a carry. Not to say that these people are bad or anything. I got TikTok and Ash here. They're friends from TLP, Lid Poppers. Um, I do plan on doing mini builds, but I'm trying to focus on what are my best and main builds right now first for each class. I've already done a Devastator build, and this Trickster build is probably the most uniformed, or one of them of most of my builds, but it is very good. I can get a lot of damage out with it. I still don't have all of my stuff, I believe, maxed out. I can get probably a little bit more cooldown off of some shards, I think. Just a little bit more. But so there are times where I've got to wait for my cooldown for maybe a second or two, which is a good time for me to normally run off, kill a little guy, come back. Um, I'll let you watch some gameplay here, but that is me essentially going over the whole build, and I will talk about it while I'm fighting. But the end of the game will also show all my damage and how it's comprised. This build 100% is focusing its damage on Twisted Rounds. My Hunt the Prey is just giving me my ammo back, letting me get behind them for that 40% damage buff. I do get a decent amount of damage, and my teammates get a decent amount of damage too from my Pain Transfer, because anyone who gets hurt shares that with somebody else. So if you have 4 people, it's going to actually transfer to all of them. And it's a smaller amount per person. Oh. Got some interesting audio there for friends. Hopefully they don't say anything too bad. Yeah, I really do find this build enjoyable. As you can see from my shields, I'm really tanky. Like, those guys just came up, they would have taken me down, like, all of my health practically, but because I'm killing fast, I'm getting a lot of those shields, they didn't even hurt my health. That is where all this tankiness is coming from. This build is just my offense. And like I said, those AoEs, like right now, that Pain Transfer, that second guy was already at half health. Your teammates are shooting at them. You're able to do some buff to your teammates, which is actually the Trickster's only really weakness in this game. And you can see these birds I can do some good damage to, even with the shotgun. Yeah, how annoying are the birds? And now with using the Death Shield, you have enough range on it that you can actually kill it with the shotgun and melt the thing. One of my teammates here is using a very interesting Technomancer. Ash, his Technomancer does absolute garbage damage, which is why I'm helping carry him C15s. However, it is amazing field control. He is just icing and freezing everything. So that helps us out defensively, and it's easier to get off headshots and deal with guys that would normally be running or flying around. Like, you can see those birds in the background, he just keeps freezing it and freezing it, but it's not going to do anything. The only thing we have to worry about, essentially, is like the bosses and the alphas that can become immune to the freeze over time, is why I try to usually focus them down. Another thing, I'm using pain transfer with the deception skill sometimes when it's unnecessary because of the 35% damage buff that it's going to give me for 10 seconds. You know, and when I stack that with the other 35 from Hunt the Prey, I'm getting essentially a 70% damage buff. And you get to see these insane numbers because that 75% is multiplicative, not only with each other, I believe, don't quote me on that part, but it is multiplicative with the Depth Shield's 43% upgrade. So that is now essentially a 100% damage boost just from those two abilities being used before I go in. And with all my other just massive damage upgrades to this thing, you can see my basic non-crit shots are critting for about half a mil each, and I'm rapid firing these things. Once I get that double damage, I'm easily popping 1,000,000 damage plus per shot. And if they do any debuffs, I could be hitting 2,000,000 damage per shot. And another thing is, don't waste all your bullets. Like, I believe there's times when there's a bird mother, you know, I used a few bullets to soften her up because I didn't have enough when I did my teleport, but you see here, I didn't waste all my bullets. I go out, I punch something, I kill some little guys until I get enough ammo back to pop her, and I use my Hunt the Prey again, because my Hunt the Prey was still on cooldown. If I had kept shooting, I wouldn't have my twisted round, so sometimes I've got to get off the target just to make sure that I can use my Hunt the Prey again and keep my twisted rounds up 100% of the time. There are times when I mess up and I do lose my twisted rounds. There's even a cool trick you will see me use later in this video. I am recording this after the fact, where I punch something just to make sure I don't reload, so then I can use my Hunt the Prey to get my twisted rounds back. So by canceling a reload and then using Hunt the Prey, you can get your ammo back, and it's quite useful. I do fail at that sometimes, but it helps quite a lot. And that way you can just keep pumping out these large damage numbers. And taking a split second to not shoot anything sometimes, or 1 or 2 seconds, is worth it to keep your twisted rounds up for, you know, another 16 seconds without waiting on cooldown. Because it allows you to bypass armor and do up to 85% more damage, so... Nick 2, I will point out as well, has a speedrun time. That is, I believe, is Boomtown or something like that for like 3 minutes, like 5 seconds. It is really good with a similar build. And part of that is because of the pain transfer. Because you can get a whole group of people, kill one guy, and the whole group just goes pop. I mean, you'll probably see me do that at some point here. And I did not do multiple runs and just, like, try to record the best one or anything like that. I literally said, hey, I'm going to record one run. We did one run, gold it right away. That's it. You know, some people, they'll do runs and they'll show you their best run. This is very much a substandard run. If anything, I would say it's an average run at most. I've done runs with this Trickster where I pulled out, if I've got people doing, like, debuffs and stuff, 500 million damage. But a lot of that damage is more about the map you're playing on, how much time you're doing. That's not so much your character even necessarily being good. It's more about, can you beat the run quickly? And even this run, I think I've beaten it with like 12 minutes before with a good team. But when I'm carrying people, obviously it's going to take long. I mean, I did this map recently with a video that should come out about the same time as this one, where I had to redo my Devastator for somebody, and I did good. I did not do as good as possible that run, but we still golded it. However, the time on it was horrible. It was like 16 minutes or something, or 17 minutes, if I recall. And I mean, if you're cutting several minutes off your time, you're going to see your damage probably go down. And it depends on the map you're running too. This map is a longer map, so you're going to see higher damage numbers just on this map. If you are playing with people who are doing a lot of damage themselves, your numbers are going to go down. If you're playing with people who are buffing your damage, your numbers are going to go up. There's a lot of things that are beyond your control that will highly alter those damage numbers. Which is why, honestly, time, team, those are more important, I think, than the damage numbers. You know, how much damage you're doing per shot, how fast do you shoot it, how much can you maintain it, how fast does it take you to actually kill an enemy. Are you able to stay alive? I mean, obviously you saw I still went down even with this build, and it is, like I said, essentially a glass cannon build that is only getting its heals from killing things as fast as possible. And there you can see me again waiting for my teleport to come back just so I can shoot back into that thing. And I am by far not going to say I'm like the best player, one of the best players, so there's how you can see a bunch of people popping from my lift up. I say lift up. I keep forgetting the name of that skill. I keep wanting to call it paint transfer, but that's the mod on it. I do think this build can pull out some of the largest damage numbers that I could do myself. If I have a Techno that is actually buffing my weapon damage, they can buff your weapon damage by over 100%. And if you're running with a Devastator, which debuffs the enemy, you know, every time you run those bosses, they can debuff the enemy by an easy 200%, or close to it. You know, at that point, you're doing 400% more damage. So if you would normally pull out like 100 million damage in the same amount of time, you could pull out 400 million damage. So I think team effort is very important, and whether you're playing a Trickster, you know, it's not all about your pure damage numbers, but you're gonna, if you like seeing high damage numbers, you will see it with a Trickster. Because you don't have stuff to buff your teammates. You are just doing pure, straight up damage. Also, I should have gone with them here, but I'm like, they got it. I'll just pull this lever and save time. And I'm pretty sure coming up in this area here is where I do the whole punch to negate my reload and then get my ammo back for my twisted rounds at some point. I think it's when I'm coming out of the water because I fall in at some point. Yep, there's where I fell in. So it should be... See, there I'm trying to do it. And there, I got it. See how I punched to negated the reload, still couldn't see anyone, punched to negate the reload again, and then I got my teleport, and I still have my twisted rounds up. So even though I screwed up, I was able to maintain my twisted rounds. This is very important. And honestly, if I had mastered this class better, I probably wouldn't be waiting in between, like running off and shooting little guys as much, and then coming back to the big guy. I would probably, once I get this more mastered, if it's only 1 second, just finish off my last 2 shots, run out of twisted rounds on purpose, then punch to negate the reload, and then do the teleport to get him back and continue doing it. And I would like to eventually min-max, but I just have to get used to that kind of play style. Yeah, back to what I was saying. Tricksters are great, and even though they don't do stuff to buff their teammates, you're getting the most out of receiving those buffs. If you have a good teammate, like I said, buffing you, and another teammate debuffing your damage is ridiculous. And that's how you are getting your team's support, from just doing the straight up damage. But don't get cocky about it, because like I said, if you have good people buffing you, they're making your damage that much better. And if they're still doing decent damage on top of it, they're probably actually out damaging. You know, if you run with a techno that can buff your damage by 100%, or even just 70% all the time, 70% of your damage is because of them at that point. You know, so even without them firing a single shot, they're doing almost as much damage as you are, respectively. And if they're able to even do half of what you did, they technically out-damaged you. And that's not to mention also what they're doing with the other player. If you're running with another good player, they're buffing them as well. Their buff alone is doing more than what their entire character is doing at that point. If everyone's pulling around the same damage numbers, or even like half of what you're able to do. Yeah, you can see I actually ran out of my twisted rounds, and instantly against that alpha, my damage dropped to half. I was doing, you know, 200,000. Even with this guy, I was doing like 77 or 177,000 a shot. There's a huge difference there, 190, 200,000 a shot, versus when I get my twisted rounds back, boom, 500, almost a million for solo shots, 700. You just see huge damage numbers with the twisted rounds active. That's why keeping them active is more important. You don't have enough to completely kill the... Like, I've played with good teams where they can debuff that Broodmother or buff me enough that one clip will completely kill that Broodmother. But when you're playing with teams where you can't completely handle the Broodmother on your own, you gotta back off, come back. And it's not just for the twisted ones, it's also for the health, the shields. Because again, if you're not killing anything, your shields drop, now you're squishy. A lot of people are like, oh, that's why I need mitigation or this or that. No, you just gotta get off the guy that you can't kill and go kill something and come back. Alright, got 14 minutes there. That's not a bad run. It's pretty good.
Excellent. That water's gonna be
And I believe, if I recall, like I said, the techno here was all about field control, which made it pretty easy for us for the most part. But he didn't do much damage because of that. The other Trickster should have done some decent damage, so I wasn't really completely carrying both these guys. But we're going to look at all those damage numbers and stuff before I call it here. If any of these tips help you out in your Tricksters, even if you decide to build them different, you know, please let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions that could increase the damage. I know Venator's Knife with the Hunt the Prey can make sure you get it back all the time, and can increase your single shot damage. Like I said, I prefer more the AoE and team support of the other one. But, you know, if there's any other mods or suggestions, please let me know. I will read those and consider them. If you guys have any other Trickster builds that you want me to check out or try out, I will be eventually coming back to the Trickster and doing maybe an anomaly version, because I like making alternate versions of things and very off-meta stuff. This is very meta. But as you can see here, I got 480 million damage. And if we go over here, you can see that it's practically all twisted rounds. My mod, the Pain... my Pain Transfer mod obviously did 31 million, and I still got some with my shotgun when it ran out, but then we got 68 million, 46 million teammates. But yeah, that is everything. Here's the kills. Hope you all enjoy. Let me know what you think in the comments. Peace out.